Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dining Mate channel. I'm Chipper,
I'm Romina.
and today we're breaking down episode 1125 of One Piece.
A clash of two men's determination. So we finally get to see them fight.
And you get a little background.
A little more.
Yeah,
I wanted more.
Yeah, you got
I was left wanting more.
Yeah, a little taste of it last week.
Mm-hmm.
A little more this week.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell there's going to be more to come. But really a pretty intriguing episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was really limited to them, Kizaru and Sentomaru. So we start off with a reminder of the priorities again, the three priorities that we brought up last time. So it's York, Vegapunk Records or the brain, and then the Mother Flame.
And you're talking about in terms of
the priorities for the elders. Sorry about that. Yes, the three priorities for the elders.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Kizaru, who started the assault, which we remember was really scary. And Sentomaru's there. He's like, "Uncle's here. I'm getting ready. I have the best defense in the world."
Oh yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
And it ended up working in their favor because he was fine after, and they kept on fighting.
Yeah, I really thought it was interesting how you can see everybody's attributes come out, right? Kizaru is always just on the attack, and then Sentomaru was like, "No, I'm the defense guy. Let me like show like my proficiency there." I thought that was really cool.
So it's showing that they're fighting each other. The vice admirals are jumping off the ships and are starting to try to invade. But then you have the band of Kumas there at the border trying to stop them. And then the sea beasts come out and they're attacking the ships. And then, they start attacking the sea beasts. And then we see what else?
The vice admirals, right? Vice admirals versus the sea beasts, or at least the crews of the vice admirals.
Yeah, the vice admirals are jumping out. And then it goes back to the Straw Hats. They start remembering, or they realize, I think they see Kizaru. And then Usopp's like, "Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
Not another sea body."
Oh yeah, somebody in the
Sabody, sorry.
Right. Well, go on. There was a point I was going to make in there. What?
No, I mean they're just freaking out because they see Kizaru there, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want another Sabody."
And then he had what was the attack that he had?
The Yasakani Sacred Jewel.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that's the technique that Kizaru had, and Sentomaru then apologizes to him and says, "I'm sorry, I made a promise to Luffy. An ally would do what I want to say. Any ally would do if it helps the person I'm indebted to get off this island."
Well, and that because then he was questioning like, why would you ever like have Luffy
side with a pirate in general, right?
And then he was like, anybody, like anybody's good if it.
Well, especially if you think back to when we first were introduced to Sentomaru, and when he fought against the Straw Hats, it was not a good memory for the Straw Hats either. It was probably the beginning to, or the hardest moment in Luffy's kind of career as a captain, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, kind of feeling like a failure in being able to protect his team. And so they were, enemies really for a long time. So it's interesting that, they're together or fighting together at this point.
Yeah. And it's just a woven as the backstory gets deeper. We've talked about this. As it gets deeper, more integrated, right? Like all of these different paths that we thought were separate. This person was an enemy. This person was an ally. And then how that kind of shakes up over time is really intriguing.
So then we finally we learn a little bit about their past together. So it shows a Kizaru walking with, a younger Kizaru walking with Vegapunk. And the outfit too, I'm guessing, Kizaru wasn't definitely not an admiral. I'm not even sure what position he was, but his normal clothes, walking with young Vegapunk. And then they see baby Sentomaru there standing over some bears that they beat up using their sumo strength. And then he starts by saying, "Oh, the people in my village are weak, so I hate them, so I left." And then immediately Kizaru calls like the
Mhm.
bull there and says, or did you get kicked out? Or, is there
Yeah.
something else going on? And they
But he
realize
did.
they're hungry.
Yeah.
And they quickly just take on Sentomaru and say, oh, well, would you like to be my bodyguard?
Mhm.
And then Kizaru immediately is his uncle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started. It was really fast, or it seemed to me really fast. I'm sure they're gonna go more into it, but
Mhm. And then it goes back to the present day. Right.
yes. So it goes back to what they're fighting. So as they're fighting, Kizaru's like it's triggering these memories in Kizaru as he's fighting, and he said, "I did my best to teach you."
It's tough, man. Like somebody that, and we've dealt with this before in One Piece, where someone who like raised this another person, and then they're fighting Garp a lot of the time, right? Garp struggles so much with his duties as a Marine and then his responsibilities as a grandfather, right? And how like the people that he loved, right? Like his two
Yeah.
grandkids, and then not to mention his where Monkey D. Dragon plays into this or whatever as
Right.
well. But yeah, it just seems like another example of someone raising someone, and then like it turned out, decades later, they're adversaries.
Right. So then, he talked about Kizaru being all the attack mode, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, my defense is just as strong as yours. And then he stops him and then attacks. And then that's what Sentomaru just becomes unconscious and allows Kizaru to take that cube thing that controls the pacifistas.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, never mind. Stop what you're doing and start attacking the sea beasts.
Yeah. Which kind of turned the tide in that battle too, because they pretty much just annihilated the sea beasts.
Yeah. That happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Luffy and the team. They're on the Sunny. Of course, Luffy's eating since I guess he had sensed Kizaru already. He's like, all right, well, if I'm going to fight, I really need to eat real quick.
Yeah, very on brand for Luffy.
So he starts eating, and then the emergency alarm's going off. Kizaru penetrated the dome. And then finally, they kept showing Stussy a lot. I was thinking like, oh, little signs that there was like, some camaraderie or something with Stussy.
Just drinking her coffee. Just sat back.
Accepting Sanji's coffee.
Yeah.
Then, she knows what Lucci's about to do. And as Vegapunk is like, crazily trying to crack the code, she stops Lucci when he attacks him and gets hurt herself.
Sacrifices herself, maybe.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is she dying? I mean, she's very strong. So
yeah, and they left it a little
a killer move.
Yeah, they left it a little.
I don't think Lucci thought Dr. Vegapunk was that strong. So I'm wondering, like, how strong is that attack? Is it the same strength every time?
Yeah. Well, this is something too. It's like, what is Lucci getting at? Because obviously it was a tenuous,
right?
Like relationship in general for them to bring his team on board, bring CP0 on board to like try to fight. But what's the end game for Rob Lucci there?
Well, but then also I thought that Lucci and the team had caught on that maybe they were not a priority for the elders and that they were kind of being left high and dry in a way.
Yeah.
So I thought that they were noticing that, and that's why they were like, okay, we probably we're on our own, and maybe it's in our best interest to work with the Straw Hats. I don't know, and so I was surprised when this happened.
I think that's another parallel to the real world as well, where a lot of people, especially when you get so close to somebody in power, and then you think that you're more important to them, that their loyalty to you maybe is deeper than it actually is.
Yeah. And then obviously Zoro and Sanji start attacking, and I'm excited because I haven't really seen Zoro fight again, and so I'm excited to see the swordplay here. And then it kind of switches back to Kizaru, right? And then Kizaru starts approaching Luffy and team, and it's really scary. The last time they fought was a long time ago, and then as soon as he starts talking, Kizaru says, "Long time no," and then boom, Luffy kicks him, and he's like, "That's so rude."
Yeah.
But that was awesome.
To me, that's the whole episode. Like that last 5 minutes or whatever, because it shows the growth of Luffy's arc right there, right? When you because you can make a direct comparison to how he was when they battled at Saboldi versus how they're battling now. How like not taken seriously, like Luffy he took everything for granted. Then before, like you said, before those the crewmates got taken away.
Yes.
Right. And to see that come full circle, and then how he didn't even let Kizaru finish them, where they were so like scared and on the defense the first time at Saboldi, where he was like, "Nah, let me attack." Like it shows maturity and confidence that like he just didn't have the first time.
And please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like when I'm used to like Luffy fighting, I'm not used to him attacking first. Or is it just me? Like I'm used to him really letting people start attacking. I'm used to him taking a lot of damage and then kind of like allowing that to build up to then him like, attacking. So, or even dodging attacks, I wasn't expecting him to attack first like that.
Yes. And that may be just the new normal, right? Was it a one-off, or was it, this is how Luffy change in his character traits? Because like I always viewed it as him not taking the fights as seriously as he needed to. I mean, even you could make that argument for Gear 5th. Even when he was fighting Kaido, he was bouncing around, not knowing how to control the
joy
powers, the joy boy like coming out. But this seemed like so much different than anything that we've seen.
Or was it just personal though?
Maybe that's
right, because after he said, "We are 100 times stronger than we were 2 years ago."
Yeah, it's really interesting seeing him actually give something the brevity, like the depth, the importance that it deserves. Like rising to the moment from the beginning, instead of letting somebody take the upper hand and wait till somebody's beat down, or somebody sacrifices themselves or something like that. And you see that a lot in anime, but especially One Piece. Right? Something horrible has to happen that motivates the other person. Like Krillin has to get killed by Frieza for Goku to go Super Saiyan, right?
And Ace and
but for them to start like from the jump and not even let him finish the sentence, I thought that was super important. Him just like starting to talk and not even being able to finish one.
And he likes to talk.
Yeah, he does.
He definitely likes to talk. Luffy was not trying to talk.
No, and
but then he says that, and he's of course his iconic smile, like really demonic like and happy like. He's really excited. So who knows where we're going to go from there with the fight and what we're going to see. Do you think this is his hardest fight?
Oh, so far, yeah. Because it's somebody who I can't think of. Maybe in Impel Down when they fought the warden.
Oh, the warden.
Like I'm trying to think about
poison.
when someone like actually just like
Bonkley
defeated them. So don't that's like my favorite character. but they don't how they I can't think of another time where they were just so utterly defeated as that, and it was so complete and devastating, and that it changed the whole trajectory of the show.
I mean, I remember when he was going to fight Kaido. I thought, this should be like easy, no problem. He Gear 5th. This is it. And then I was surprised by how long it took and how much effort it was. I feel like every time we get a new like epic battle, I always think that's the hardest battle.
Something I was thinking while we were watching it was, it's kind of amazing how many of the like Shichibukai, or how many of like the Yonko, like that he fought and like defeated without even knowing what haki was. Right? Like it shows that like some of those earlier bad guys, Crocodile and stuff, like they had no excuse for like losing to him like when they did.
Well, yeah, he's remarkable. So after He kicks them. They start fighting, and then we get a little sneak peek into next week. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Maybe we see a little bit more of Kuma coming in, and then I think the title of the next episode is something about Kizaru's like depressing mission.
Oh,
So, of course,
more character building.
I cry pretty easily.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So who knows what's going to happen, but I'm sure there will be tears. If they say depressing,
Yeah,
it's going to be bad.
yeah. I'm trying to think if there were any other, anything I wanted to add. Just the animation again was on point. Like Luffy's attacks, the like red
kick.
Yeah, it was so good. Animation is on point. This whole arc is just taking it to another level, and I'm gonna keep mentioning it until like I see otherwise. But like every episode is like, oh man, that's nice. It's so good to see. Because I mean, like I said, like before Whole Cake arc, like the Whole Cake Island arc and all of that, like there was a pretty big chunk there where it was like, come on guys, like let's, and I don't know, some of it maybe was the art style, some of it was maybe the animation, but like it just seemed like somewhere in that point, and then definitely in Wano, like they've just like really been on their game since then, and they're just keep pushing the envelope a little bit further every arc, and it's good to see. But anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that was it. I feel like it went by really fast.
Yeah, there was a lot crammed into a little bit of episode, right?
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes you'll have an episode and you'll get a lot of nothing in the middle, and then maybe at the end you'll get a good cliffhanger. But like, there was a lot between a backstory there. There was a lot of direct confrontation. There was like two different battles almost. One like the Sentomaru fight, and then like Luffy jumping in at the beginning. It was just a lot, and then and then not to mention Rob Lucci and everything that happened.
Right, and the Vice
Stussy.
Admirals were getting to see a little bit of their strength.
The Sea Beasts. I mean, there was a lot, man. The Sea Beast battle with the Vice Admirals. But yeah, that's all for this episode, and we will see y'all next week for episode 1126. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe below, turn on notifications, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.